Rant for Your Life podcast. Hi, I'm Reverend Rene'e Ellis. Rant for Life. Real anointed, needed talk podcast. Oh, yes, yes, yes. It's an unapologetic view of questions that were submitted or just talking about what I'm talking about. But on today, since I'm here by myself during this pandemic of COVID-19, it eludes me to have a guest on with me, but that's all right. That's all right. I like talking to people, so I'll just talk to y'all, right? Okay, but what the topic on today is I'm talking about glove use. Glove use during this COVID 19 situation we have going on where everyone is supposed to be shut in or self contained and keeping distances, and the controversy about wearing masks or not to wear masks or when to wear masks or when to put on gloves and when not to put on gloves, and it's just a lot going on. And you see the different pictures where you see the gloves are being left on the side of the carts in the parking lot, So I was like, you know what? Maybe we need to talk about this a little bit. So we're going to talk about glove use, okay? And this information is coming from the World Health Organization, and I'm going to try to read these letters are really small, but I'm going to read some of it to you, and then talk about what I'm talking about on the end of it, okay? It said medical gloves are defined as disposable gloves used during medical procedures, okay? So it can also, but now during the pandemic, it's not just being used for medical procedures. People are wearing them, whenever they go outside or going in public places, supposedly to keep them from picking up germs. But what's happening is that it has been shown that they're actually picking up and distributing more germs than what they were doing even before they started wearing the gloves. Because if they did not change their habits when they put on the gloves, then if they kept those same habits of touching everything and touching their face and cell phones and things like that, when even with the gloves on, they were still contaminating everything. So it didn't matter whether they had gloves on or off if they did not use the proper procedure. Okay. So glove use without, according to the World Health Organization, glove use without the proper hand washing and the proper disposal of them, and also the proper way of watching what you're touching and what you're contaminating, how you spread contamination, the glove uses aren't doing any good. Most people think glove uses are in lieu of washing your hands. No, you're supposed to wash your hands before you put your gloves on, and you're supposed to wash your hands after you take your gloves off, and you're not supposed to be touching your face and your cell phone. If you're in a store and you're touching different objects with your hands with the gloves on, you're spreading contamination just right there. So you're not helping the situation any. It says when an indication for hand hygiene precedes a contact that also requires glove uses, hand rubbing or hand washing should be performed before putting on your gloves. How many of you get out the car, put on your gloves, and you haven't washed your hands, you haven't used sanitizer, nothing, okay? You just put your gloves on, okay? It says when an indication for hand hygiene applies while the healthcare worker is wearing gloves, then gloves should be removed to perform hand washing or hand dressing. So that means that when you come out of the store with your gloves and you take them off, hopefully you're taking off properly, because if you haven't been shown how to take your gloves off properly, you just totally messed up the whole situation or the reason for wearing gloves in the first place. You're supposed to wash your hands when you take your gloves off. And if you don't have the hand washing facilities right there when you take your gloves off, then you are to use sanitizer until you can get there and wash your hands. But if you've touched your car, you've touched a cart, you've touched your cell phone, while you had those gloves on, you have contaminated everything around you. So it says that the inappropriate glove use are the use of gloves when not indicated represents a waste of resources and does not contribute to or reduction of cross-contamination. A lot of you that have not been in the medical field don't understand what cross-contamination is. Cross-contamination is when you touch one thing and then touch another thing. Now, if you were going through the store and you had your gloves on and you weren't touching anything, and you were just looking with your eyes, like we tell our children, at least I told my children, to, look with your eyes and not with your hands, because your hands don't have eyes on them. Okay? Hands can't see anything. So when you have your gloves on, the proper way of doing things is to don't touch anything. Read. Things that people don't want to do, read. Read the content. Lean over on the shelves and read. Or better yet, before you go into the store, make a list of what you want to get. Okay? And have that on your mind so you're not sightseeing. Sightseeing causes cross-contamination because you don't know what you want when you go in there. And so you're touching everything. And so you're spreading germs and bringing back germs to yourself. Okay? These letters are really small to read, but I'm going to try to read it anyway. It says, type of gloves to use. As a general policy, selection of non-powdered gloves is recommended since this avoids reactions with the alcohol-based hand rub in use within the healthcare facility. So what that means is that if you use non-powdered gloves, then when you take your gloves off, you can use the hand sanitizer or wash your hands more effectively. That's what it's saying, okay? So, gloves are effective in preventing contamination, okay? It is effective when it's used appropriately and properly. Timely hand hygiene is performed during the method of hand rubbing or hand washing. You must wash your hands. Wearing gloves is not going to take the place of washing your hands or hand sanitizers. Okay? So, unnecessary and inappropriate use of gloves result in a waste of resources. I keep telling you that all the time. We just waste resources. I've seen so many pictures of outside where the shopping carts are put in the parking lot in those little railings. And then you see a whole pile of contaminated gloves. And you get in your car. You don't use hand sanitizer when you take your gloves off. And you're probably not taking gloves off properly. You're supposed to take the wrist part and pull it over your hand. Hold on to it with the other hand. And your clean hand, you take the wrist of the glove and pull it over so both gloves are inside. But if you take your gloves off, just throw them down on the ground just like you take off gloves during the wintertime, you have contaminated yourself. You've gotten in the car and you've contaminated yourself. And whatever you picked up inside the store, you're taking back home with you. So, if you do not understand how to properly use your gloves, if you don't understand about proper cross-contamination, how that occurs, if you think that wearing a glove is helping you from not being contaminated, you're sorely mistaken, and you are hindering yourself in health and also other people because you're spreading germs everywhere. If you don't have the germ on you, when you're touching things in the store with your gloves, constantly touching everything wherever you go, then you are spreading germs that might not have been on you, but was on whatever that object was you touched, and you spread it somewhere else. So when the next person come along, when they touch it, they're picking up the germ. Okay? So, wash your hands, folks. That's the best thing I can tell you to do is wash your hands, proper hand washing technique. But when I think about hand washing, I really did not realize that people didn't wash their thumbs. I've noticed that there's a lot of comments about washing your thumbs. Make sure you wash your thumbs. You don't wash your thumbs when you wash your hands? I thought that was part of the hand. Like rubbing your hands. You rub your hands, and you're washing your hands and, doing this thing and your wrists and stuff. I thought everyone washed their hands like that. I did not know that people were not washing their thumbs until it was brought to the attention. So if they had to tell people to wash their thumbs, that means you were not using good hygiene in the first place. So we have to go back to basics. That means we were teaching those that weren't washing their thumbs, you weren't teaching your children how to wash their hands correctly either. So we have to go back to the basic. And that's what this pandemic, this COVID-19 has shown us, is that we as a people are very neglectful. Yeah, we are. We're very neglectful. We neglect our personal hygienes. We neglect people, other people being concerned and caring about other people. We've been walking through this earth being totally selfish, and acting like no harm can come near us, or that we're invincible, like the superheroes that we look at on television and in the movies and read in the comic books. I think we've actually really bought into that we are invincible. We are not invincible, folks. And this is the sorry that this pandemic has had to show us as a people and, snap us back into reality that we're not invincible. You know, that there is life. As there is life, there is also death. And where there is health, there is also sickness. And it has no cares about what family it goes in or who it attacks. Okay? It has no respect to person. Sickness can go anywhere and be anywhere in anybody's family. It don't care how many degrees you have. It doesn't care what your title is. It can come for you. And in this world that we live in, germs have just overgrown itself, and it's spreading because we do not care about other people. We've started living in a world to whereas we're not really caring about other people, and that's what it boils down to. We've been so selfish that all we're concerned about is me and mine. Even during this time when they're saying, stay indoors and only come out when it's necessary. People are doing whatever they want to do. They're still going out. And they're still congregating, and they're still not doing social distancing. They're still not washing their hands. I told y'all before about this man that come out the bathroom, didn't wash his hands, and it's ingrained in us to be selfish. But I'm telling you, if you want to live a long life, and if you want this world to be a better world, we're going to have to stop being selfish and learn. Read. When do we stop reading? That's why people using bad hand washing technique and a glove wearing technique on how to wear gloves. Even sometimes how to even put on masks. They just say, "Oh, I need a mask." Put it on. They don't know why they're putting the mask on. "Oh, we need gloves. Let me put on the gloves." They don't even know how or why they're putting gloves on. It's just out of fear, and fear is totally taken over this world. And I'm just telling you that we cannot allow fear to cause us to just be swayed to the left and to the right without any wisdom. We have to have wisdom in what we're doing. Read before you do it, or listen. There's so many YouTube videos out there telling you how to put gloves on and how to take them off and the precautions. And if you don't want to read, if you just want to listen, it's all over YouTube, And technology is just so great now until there's no excuse for people to be ignorant. There's no excuse for you not to have wisdom on how to. But in the world we live in, it just is what it is, what it is. People just do not want to read. People do not want to be told what to do. They just want to grasp onto an idea and run with it. Well, let me tell you something. In Proverbs 1:1, which is the proverb of Solomon, the son of David. He was the king of Israel. And in Proverbs, the first chapter, the first through the third verse, let me read this to you. It said, "For attaining wisdom and discipline, for understanding words of insight, for inquiring a disciplined and prudent life, doing what is right and just and fair." As believers, we need to seek God for wisdom and then share that wisdom, which is what I'm trying to do here in this format, is just share wisdom. Share wisdom with others. Our goal should be to live a life that is pleasing to God. And God's not pleased with all this self-centeredness and not without respect for other people. However, in many instances, we seek instead of what is pleasing to ourselves. Yeah, we seek what's pleasing to ourselves. We don't care about anybody else. And that's just the truth of the matter. Pursuing what we think is best. What they call it thinking. And that means it doesn't have any substance. It's just something that you pulled out of the air and thought it sounded good, so you repeat it over and over again until you accept it as true, as fact, and it was fake. Okay? The Proverbs in the first chapter reminds us that our heart should be to have a prudent life and thinking not just of the present time. You don't think about what's going on just right here. Even though tomorrow's not promised, you're not supposed to live as if it doesn't matter, okay? We need to look onward in hopes, because we live in hope, okay, of tomorrow. We always live in hope of tomorrow. We hope we wake up in the morning. We hope, that God breathed the breath of life into our bodies, so that we still, knowing that we still have purpose to continue on in this race, in this ungodly world, toward our hope in the future, toward our salvation. Seeing that as our goal. We have to have that as our goal, And we can't live a disciplined life even today. We can live a disciplined life. A lot of people don't want to be disciplined. They want to be wild and rowdy, and live it like what they call off the cuff. Yep, well, you need some discipline in your life. Even when you're living what you say on the edge, you have to have some kind of discipline so that when you get to the edge, you don't fall off, okay? For what that to take place, okay? For that to take place, okay? We need wisdom and we need understanding. And wisdom can only come from God, okay? Because God created the heavens and the earth. He created all things. He created man. He created animals, the amoebas, the little microbes, all those things that uniquely fit together that form this earth. Okay? God created it. And so if anybody knows how and what and where and whom and why, it's God, because he's the creator. So I just want to encourage you in all of your getting understanding. That's really what I'm talking about today. In all your getting understanding. In all your getting understanding. Glove use, get an understanding so that you can use it properly and protect yourself and other people. Hand washing, if you still haven't got it right, seek wisdom so that you can protect yourself and other people and your family. Okay? In all you do, seek wisdom so you can save lives, live safely, and hopefully we can continue on and see what the future is going to hold. But we can't continue doing what we want to do when we want to do it without wisdom. Okay? So this is Rene'e Ellis, Reverend Rene'e. I thank you for listening to Rant for Your Life, a real anointed needed talk. I didn't have a co-host today, but if you liked our show today and want to check in on us, you can check in on YouTube, you can check in on Facebook, Spreaker, you can check on Instagram. We're on every podcast. Check us out. Check us out. We're on a lot of podcasts. So whatever the podcast is, just search it up, Rant for Life, Real Anointed Needed Talk, and that will be there. So I wanted to let you know that this episode was sponsored by She's So Savage. She's So Savage website is www.shesosavage@bigcartel.com. And you can find her on Facebook, okay? And it's also by Goli.com, which is Goli, go.goli.com/Rene'e L. Ellis. Okay? Now, I hope you enjoyed it. My little rambling thoughts and my wisdom that I tried to impart. Hope you can join us next time when I'm talking about whatever it is I'm talking about. I'll talk to you later. Yes. The Beats by Infrared. Yes. Thank you for listening to Rant for Life. Real anointed, needed talk. Coming to a podcast near you. Bye.